right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Who is okay. I apologize for the delay. I'm so sorry. I had a couple of technical issues, but let's get started. This is going to be the misdemeanor expedited accusation calendar for today, November 22nd, 2024. My name is Judge Lal. We're going to be addressing cases in which individuals were recently arrested and booked at the Fulton County Jail. Soon after being booked in, their cases were formally accused by the Solicitor General of Fulton County. If you are a defendant charged with one or more misdemeanor offenses, please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything that you choose to say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case. Be mindful of the fact that this virtual proceeding is not only being recorded, but live streamed as well. So if you need to say anything, please wait till your attorney is available to speak with you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one will be appointed to represent you. Today, when I call your case, I will let you know what's your case number, a new accusation number, the charges that have been brought against you, to appoint counsel when necessary, and to set a bond. Depending on your criminal record history and the allegations set forth in your case, the type of bond may be either a signature bond in which you would not have to pay for the bond, but you would have to comply with certain conditions. Otherwise, you may possibly qualify also for what we call a surety or cash bond. In those particular cases, you would have to pay for the bond either out of your own pocket or through a bonding company. Let's get started with courtroom 2. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a witness or a family member here to support, please make sure that your video is off and that your audio is on mute. So if Mr. Jordan, if you could mute and stop the video for iPhone, then I'll let them come on. Thank you. Courtroom 2, who do we have?
Position number 3.
All right. This is State versus Nicole Brathwaite, case number 24 CR 007743Y. Ms. Brathwaite, you have a total of 11 charges against you. Let's see now. 2 counts of simple assault, 5 counts of simple battery, criminal trespass, and 2 counts of battery. And sorry, the 11th charge is a willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer. You've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be, who is it?
It is I.
All right.
Your Honor, part of this needs to be in breakout. We're working on placement. The placement attempts and procedures are going on today. We hope we can get it done today. It is doubtful we can finish it today. It may be tomorrow or Monday before we can make the details of the transport by car available. It's going to be to Ridgeview.
All right. Is there a family member or a person who's also responsible for Ms. Brathwaite?
I have texted a photograph of the letter from Ms. Braithwaite's family describing their conversation with Ridgeview to Shelley Falk.
All right. Ms. Allen, do you have any comment on that?
Your Honor, Ms. Falk did appear on behalf of the state for this case yesterday, and I know that there was some communication with family members. The defendant's family members are in the West Coast, and I believe they're headed here today, traveling to try to assist. So I believe Mr. McClain is correct in the assessment that arrangements for release specifically to a family member and specifically to a treatment facility are what the state is working out with Mr. McClain. Is that correct, Mr. McClain?
Yes, except the sister was just here a couple of weeks ago from Oregon, and if it's just a one-day transport, we're going to try to figure out how to not make a family member have to come back again for just that one task.
The family member needs to come in. I need a name to whom she'll be released.
Well, we think it will be, we think we're going to propose to the court that either an employee, an investigator can drive her from the jail, or perhaps a sheriff's transport from the jail because it is a ridge view, that's commonly done, that sometimes the deputy sheriff will be ordered to transport to the placement.
I still need a family member's name.
The sister
Oh,
is
well,
Meredith Green.
and the mom is Pauline Benson, B-E-N-S-N.
Anything else to add, Miss Allen? This
No,
is the
Your Honor.
first arrest.
Correct.
Any stayaways?
I believe those are already in effect. We can talk about it further in a breakout if you'd like.
Okay. We're going to do that shortly. Deputy, I'm going to address this case in a breakout. Can I handle my other cases, please?
Yes, ma'am. We can go to position. We can go to position number 20, Mr. Ramon Estrada.
What is number 20?
It's
Ramon Estrada.
Ariel Ramon Estrada.
It's Mr. Arca's client.
McLean, do
Okay.
you have a calendar?
I don't have the calendar in front of me, but I've got the list. I will send Miss Allen the letter that I sent to Miss Falk.
Thank
For
you.
Estrada?
No, for Brathwaite.
Okay,
No, for,
all right. And who represents Ramon Estrada?
I do, Judge.
All right, Mr. Arca, does your client require a Spanish interpreter?
I've been told that the answer to that is no.
Okay. This is State versus Ariel Ramon Estrada, accused of simple battery from November 16, 2024, case number 24CR 7759C. Mr. Ramon Estrada, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Arca. Can you see your attorney on the screen?
Yes.
Thank you. Any priors, Mr. Howard?
For 2019 disorderly conduct conviction, 2016 driving without a valid license conviction.
All right.
That's
Miss Allen, or is that the,
That's me.
okay?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident from November the 16th at about 10:15 p.m. Police were called to Roswell Creek Circle by the victim in this case, last name Spencer, first name Jackal, Jaakal. He reported he'd been struck in the face while he was sitting in his vehicle in the parking area next to building 837 there, next to the in an apartment complex. He reported that the defendant, Mr. Ariel Ramon Estrada, approached him outside of his vehicle, reached through the window and punched him in the face before leaving. A resident there at the location provided police with a cell phone video of the interaction. And the defendant's truck that he was driving was identified using tag information. Officers contacted the listed owner for that vehicle, Lorenzo Jimenez. He reported that the defendant is the new owner of the vehicle, had taken over the payments, and that he's the person in possession of it. Police contacted the defendant, who admitted he'd been involved in an altercation there at the location and said he'd been dropping off friends, but he denied striking the victim in his face, and a warrant was obtained. We're asking for a $2,000 SOB, Your Honor, through pretrial. Stay away from the victim, Mr. Spencer. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons.
Any objection, Mr. Arca?
Judge, the only thing that I would ask for is that it be set at 1,000.
For a pretrial bond?
Yes, Judge.
Okay. Well, he doesn't have to pay for it.
Oh, yeah, that's
As long as
right.
he complies with the conditions.
Then we'll go with that, Judge.
All right, sir.
So-
Bond is set at $2,000. It's a signature bond through pretrial services level 1. No further contact with the victim, Spencer, and to stay away from the incident location. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons, and he'll need to complete a 1-day anger awareness program with the pretrial services. That's at no expense to him. His next court date will be sent to his current mailing address. He's required to maintain a current mailing address with the courts at all times. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome. Anything else, Mr. Arca?
No, Judge, as you and Miss Allen have a great Thanksgiving.
You
Always
too,
good
sir.
seeing you.
You too, sir. Have a good one. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye, Judge.
Next case?
Number 11,
This is
11.
Jasmine Hinojosa Silver, position 11 on our calendar, case number 24 CR 7757F. Miss Hinojosa Silver is accused of harassing communications and stalking from November 8th, 2024. Ms. Silver, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. Nope. Who is
Me,
it?
Your Honor, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. McLeod,
Thank
Ms. McLeod. Okay. And Mr. Howard, any priors?
This is a second arrest. Last was in September.
For
Death
the
by
theft by
taking.
taking? Okay,
Correct.
all right.
I think she's only 17. That's
That's
all.
what I have as well.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
she has two cases on the calendar, Judge.
Oh, she's got a second case. I'm so sorry. I didn't see that. Okay. 24 CR 7758F, 24 CR. Ms. McLeod, your client has another case, 2 counts of battery from November 15th, 2024.
Was not aware of that case, Your Honor.
Well, welcome to my world. So, so those are the 2 cases and her open theft by taking. And the open theft by taking, case number is 24 PI 006804. So, based on that, Ms. Allen, what's the recommendation?
Your Honor, these 2 cases involve a period of time between November the 8th and November the 18th, documentation and multiple police reports about repeated contact of an unwanted nature via phone, text, social media, etc., to a former roommate. This former roommate, the victim in both cases, last name Medeiros, Medeiros, made a police report on November the 8th, again contacted police on the November the 16th, reported and gave documentation of repeated contact. And then there was a altercation on the 15th in the Walmart parking lot in Roswell. That is the charges in position number 12, Your Honor. The defendant in front of you captured a portion of that assault on her own cell phone camera and posted it on Instagram. It shows her being the predominant aggressor and assaulting Mrs. Medeiros in the parking lot. Police investigated, gathered evidence, spoke to witnesses, including evidence of the altercation in the parking lot surveillance, not just what the defendant posted online. And these charges were brought. The victim in our case, Mrs. Clarita Medeiros, was also arrested for aggravated assault based on her behavior in the parking lot for the battery as well. That case will be dismissed by the DA's office. I've just confirmed. Based on the ongoing issues here and the behavior of the defendant, although she's 17, she does have an active open case and is out on bond. On the first case, we're asking for a $3,000 surety, no contact with the victim, stay away from wherever she works or lives. This case includes threats to come to the place that she works, messages telling her the address where she lives and talking about the people she lives with. So we would ask for her bond conditions to include no contact wherever this young woman may be, no drugs, alcohol, or weapons while on bond. And in the second case, the 2 counts of battery from November the 15th, we're asking for a $2,000 surety bond, Your Honor. Again, no contact, stay away, and no drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Last name for the victim is Medeiros, Medeiros. First name Clarita, Clarita.
Oh, is it TA? I thought it was TO. Okay, thank you.
Thank
Ms.
you.
McLeod?
Your Honor, my client is only 17 years old. She lives in Roswell with her father. She also has a good relationship with her stepfather, she tells me. And this is a rather complicated and long story with a former roommate, I believe, of her stepfather. And it got to the point where this person had to be evicted from the home, and there was some mispayment or non-payment, and it got to the point where people were back and forthing. As the state has stated, the alleged victim was actually arrested and charged with aggravated assault because she stabbed my client at some point. So she is hardly some innocent person who has been implicated in any of this, Your Honor. My client, as I said, she didn't know. She was trying to get in contact with this person because there was some money owed, and this woman had taken away some of her stuff that she had at her home. So there was some kind of dispute about stolen property, and it has been ongoing for some time. I would ask the court to consider giving my client a signature bond so she could get out of jail. She is okay. I did speak to her. We're not having any further contact, whether it is via text or in person, with the alleged victim, Miss Maduras. And I know that, as she said, she's lived with her father. Her mother, she tells me, is currently in Florida. I have contacted her mother, and I think one of them, at least one of them, may be on the Zoom right now. I think Sarah Silva may be one of her parents who are on the Zoom, Your Honor.
Who's going to co-sign the bond?
I believe it's going to be Miss Silva. I did also speak with her grandparents. So one of them is going to be able to sign the bond. I did not have sufficient time to ascertain who will, but I think Miss Silva is on.
Okay.
Your Honor, just to clarify, this young woman was not stabbed.
No, I've already read the warrant, so thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any parent, biological or step parent, who is here present for Jasmine Hinojosa Silva? You need to unmute and start your video.
And Miss Allen, she was stabbed not with a knife, but with a comb.
Yes, I'm here.
All right, Miss Silver, please raise your right hand if you want to say anything. Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes.
Mrs. Sarah Silva, is Miss Jasmine your biological daughter?
Yes.
And does she live with you, or does she have access to live with you?
Yes, I'm in Florida right now. So she's living with her father and grandparents in Georgia right now.
Are you living in Florida, or are you
Yes.
visiting?
I live here.
Okay, so otherwise, have you been in communication with the father? Does he plan to co-sign the bond?
Yes, he'll co-sign, or I don't know if I can do it over the phone. I can co-sign.
No, you cannot. What is
Or I can fly down there.
what is your husband's name? Or what is the father's name?
Edgar Hinojosa.
Okay, and Sarah Silva. All right, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
On the harassing communications, on position 11, on the harassing communications is going to be a $2,000 bond. On the stalking is going to be a $2,000 bond. That's going to be a $4,000 signature bond through pretrial services, level 3. And I'll need either Sarah Silver or Edgar Hinojosa to co-sign the bond.
Mm-hmm.
And she's to have no further contact with Clarita Medeiros and to stay away from the incident location, which is, I think was the Walmart or something, whatever
Yes.
the address
It was
was.
a Walmart, Your
We
Honor.
would
and I
request the
there was-
Walmart as well as her residence and her place of work.
I believe there was a
and
workplace
contact and
mentioned.
mention.
It sounds like a restaurant.
Yeah, it's a place of work is Tokyo Bay, but I don't know where it is. And then Miss Medoros' address, Miss Allen, if you have it, could you please provide that to our litigation manager?
Absolutely.
And I believe that's April who's doing it.
No, Judge, you got Mr. Jordan today. and
Mr.
I'm hoping-
Jordan? Okay, got it. Thank you. All right.
Her current bond is a $100 cash split bond and a UJR through the jail on her felony case that was issued in October or September.
Yeah, I noticed that. On the battery one is going to be $2,500 on each count, and that's a signature bond through pretrial services level 3. No further contact with the victim, and again, stay away from the incident Walmart and stay away from Tokyo Bay as well as Miss Madero's residence. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, no firearms. She will be subject to random screens. Miss Hinojosa Silver, if you are, if either of your biological parents co-sign your bond, you'll need to make sure your address is current with the Fulton County courts. You need to make sure you report to pretrial once a week. And if you violate the conditions of your bond, if you attempt to communicate with Miss Maderos in any way, form, or manner, this $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, no, $9,000 signature bond will be revoked and converted to either a surety bond or a cash bond. So if you get arrested again, or if you violate these conditions and you come back to jail, make sure you bring $9,000 with you. But that's how much it's going to cost you to get our bond the next time. Do you understand? All right. No contact with Mr. Maderos. That means no phone, no in-person, no third party, no computer, no social media discussions, absolutely non-existent type of contact. All right. Your next court date will be sent to your current mailing address. It's not Miss Maderos's, right, Miss McLeod?
Your Honor,
Okay.
Miss Medeiros apparently had moved out
All right, good.
a little while ago from this location.
Okay, thank you very much. Next case, please. Miss
This,
Silva, you're free to go.
this per Judge Michael.
Yeah.
Court say about signing for pretrial for dad to be able to sign her bond.
Yeah. Y'all need to get in touch with either Edgar or Sarah and get them to co-sign the bond.
I think I will just ask pretrial to send me the information.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Forum 2, who do we have, please?
Position number 19 is Nash.
1919. Okay, yeah, Colette Nash. This is State versus Colette Alfredia Nash, accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property and reckless conduct under accusation 24 CR 7755E. Ms. Nash, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean, or is it Mr. Geddes?
Ask a question, so it's Miss McLeod.
Oh, Miss McLeod, but she left. Oh, there she is. Miss McLeod?
Your Honor, I haven't left. Miss Nash is
Okay.
my client.
All right, great. Your attorney is Miss Maureen McLeod. I understand that this is Miss Nash's 18th arrest cycle. Anything to add, Mr. Howard?
2020 battery dismissed. 2019 FTA. Trespass, no low, and shoplifting conviction. That's
Miss Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that occurred on the 21st of November at about 5 p.m. Police were called to 434 Roy Street Southwest on the report of a house fire. On scene, they were flagged down by a man, Mr. Robert Ruff, who said that a woman in a blue and a white striped dress had set fire to the side of the residence. He said she seemed to be upset about something and had been throwing a gas can at the house all day. He saw flames at the side of the residence and then observed her fleeing. The fire was found to be a grassy area, the yard area, and it was put out safely. The defendant was arrested. She was found nearby. The recommendation, Your Honor, is a $3,000 surety, no contact with Mr. Ruff or whoever stays there, whoever she was trying to contact at the location 434 Roy Street. Stay away from that location. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons. We tried to get in touch with Mr. Ruff today, but we're not successful and haven't been yet, but we'll continue those efforts if you sound for him in case he got our message. I did review the prior criminal history for this young woman. She's got the same victim in multiple cases that look like they've been dismissed. Marcus Pearson, I'm not sure if that is a person associated with this address. I don't have a lot of information right now.
Okay. Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 48 years old and she's a native of Atlanta. She tells me she doesn't have any recollection whatsoever of this incident. She also tells me that she is disabled, so she's currently unemployed. And I would ask the court to take that into consideration in setting a bond for her.
Okay.
I think based on what she tells me and even the allegations in the warrant, that perhaps she might qualify for a signature bond, Your Honor, because my client tells me she truly does not remember anything about this episode at all. And she does tell me that she is sick and legally disabled and has not been able to work or anything for some time. She also tells me that prior to all of that, she was a pre-K teacher. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the defendant calls her dad from the jail and asks him to come bail her out. And she says where she was, that she was over near Mob, where she shouldn't have been. Her dad initially tells her he's not going to pay to bond her out because she knows better, that Mob's always been a loser, and told her she shouldn't be over there again and she needs to just come home. And she admits that she was where she shouldn't have been, and she apologizes and tells him exactly what she was arrested for.
All right, that's neither here nor there. I'm just basing it
Well, for
on,
somebody who says they don't remember why they are arrested or what happened, it just proves that that's not true.
well, lack of memory is not a defense at the present time. On the criminal trespass causing damage to property is going to be a $2,000 surety bond. On the reckless conduct is a $1,000 surety bond. Total is $3,000 surety. To have no further contact with Robert Ruff and to stay 200 yards away from 434 Roy Street in Atlanta. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. And her next court date is going to be, and I know they gave it to me, December 5th, was it?
Yes,
December 5th, yeah. Case is reset to December 5th.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next case, please.
Your Honor, can we go to Ms. Holmes? I don't know the position number.
Ms. Holmes? She's number 13.
Position number 13 is Ms. Holmes.
Yeah, I've got the calendar now.
All right. Jacqueline Holmes? Are you Jacqueline Holmes? At jail court iPhone?
I need to go to a real court.
Come on, then, let's go.
Cause I don't know who you are, I don't know what this is, I don't know what I'm always being taken around to. I need to go to a real court.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to bring her to the courtroom, Your Honor, if she comes, okay?
All right, thank you.
All right.
Courtroom 2, who do I have?
Position 1, Mr. Alford.
This is Tyrese Alford, ALFORD, case number 24CR 7748Y. Mr. Alford, you've been accused of battery, family violence, and criminal trespass causing damage to property from May 17th, 2024. You've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. I understand this is Mr. Alford's 4th arrest cycle. He's on
Probation for RICO.
Okay. 21 SC, is that the case?
178250.
Okay, that's good enough. Thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Your Honor, this incident happened back in May. It's a delayed arrest. The victim is Mishka Kramer. She shares a child with the defendant. He came over, they were drinking. The conversation was heated. He demanded to leave. She had hidden his keys because he was intoxicated. He got very upset that he couldn't leave and punched her repeatedly and smashed her hookah and her laptop, and at some point also damaged her cell phone. The victim had bruises, a black eye, a swollen jaw, and scratches to her neck. We've not been in touch with her today. We're requesting a $3,500 surety, $2,500 on the battery, $1,000 on the criminal trespass, no contact, stay away, family violence intervention program. They share a child together, Your Honor, who's 1 year old. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for Miss Kramer.
Misha Kramer, if you're on the Zoom, please unmute and start your video. All right, Mr. McLean?
I apologize for the confusion, Your Honor,
Oh,
but I'm
Mr.
actually
Geddes?
representing this
I'm
client.
sorry. Mr. Geddes is your attorney. Yes, sir.
Yes. So Mr. Alford is 26 years old. He is a lifelong resident of Georgia. It's my understanding that he's a construction position that he's been working for more than 2 years at this point. He does have a high school diploma. He has 3 children, one of which is with Ms. Kramer, as you heard. I don't believe we have any opposition to the no contact provision. Obviously, they do have a child together, Your Honor. I don't know how you normally deal with an exception purely for child rearing situations. But beyond that, his finances are a bit difficult. He does qualify for the public defender's office. We would ask for Your Honor to do a $3,000 bond in total.
Okay. On the battery family violence, that's going to be $2,500, and that's going to be a surety bond. On the criminal trespass causing damage to property, that's going to be a $1,500 signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. He's to have no further contact with Mishka Kramer and the child that he shares with Ms. Kramer. In order to obtain any of this parenting plan with the child, he shall file a legitimation action with the appropriate superior court and get a court order to establish joint visitation, custody, child support, and an established parenting plan. He's to report to pretrial once a month. He's not to consume any illegal drugs, no alcohol, and will be subject to random screens. Within 30 days of being released from the jail, he shall enroll and attend and complete a domestic violence intervention program. This is a 26-week program in which he'll be required to attend each class without skipping any classes. No further contact with Ms. Kramer and the child, subject to a legitimation plan, requires that he not contact them either in person, through a third party, or through any kind of electronic means. Thank you. Oh, his next court date is December 5th, unless he makes bond. He needs to make sure that he updates the court with his new mailing address immediately upon being released from jail, since he cannot share the same home with Ms. Kramer. Thank you.
Position number 5 is next, Mr. Dixon.
This is Marquis Dixon, accused of battery, family violence, and battery against a female who is pregnant from August 16th, 2024. Mr. Dixon, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Geddes or Mr. McLean?
That'd be myself, Your Honor.
All right. Your attorney is Mr. Nick Geddes. And Mr. Dixon, this is his 5th arrest cycle. He's got an open felony case, 23 CP 221652. As well as a state court case, 23 CR 5396J. Anything else, Mr. Howard?
24 CR 003385J. That's the
Oh,
battery
sorry.
DV.
Okay, so that's 2 open state court cases.
And one
And,
Superior Court.
all right,
And an open case out of the cab for shoplifting and marijuana.
got it. Thank you. Miss Desiano?
Yes, Your Honor. In the open case, the 24 CR 3385 is a battery family violence against the same victim. Of course, there's a bond order in place ordering that he have no violent contact. That was ordered by Judge Morrow on June 3rd. In this instance, it happened back in August, on August 16th. The victim is Iracema Velasquez. She was 6 months pregnant at the time of this incident. The defendant, it's our understanding that he's the father of the child. She stated the defendant was drinking. He was upset. There's repeated arguments over him cheating on her. He was drunk and upset. She didn't really understand why, other than he couldn't text on Instagram, and he punched her. several times. She had a bruise under her left eye and on her right cheek. She was transported to the hospital after this incident to make sure that her unborn child was okay. And based on the timing of the incident that happened, the prior incident, which happened back in May, she may have also been pregnant at the time of that incident. However, there's no indication of that in the warrants, but just based on the timeline, it's quite possible. We have not been in touch with her today, and he's in violation of his bond, Your Honor. We're requesting a $2,500 cash bond on one count and an SOB on the second count. No contact, stay away, family violence intervention program, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for Miss Velasquez.
Arisma Velasquez, if you're on Zoom, you'll need to unmute and start your video. All right, no response. Mr. Geddes?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Dixon is a lifelong resident of Georgia. He has expressed to me that he has extensive family contacts in Georgia. He has worked for an eviction company here for the better part of a year at this point. It's my understanding that the parties do not currently live together, so the no contact provision should not be a difficulty. Beyond that, I think we are actually fine with what the state is asking for as far as the bond conditions.
Any comment about the alleged contact after a bond order was issued?
I don't have any details on that either way, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Excuse me 1 second. Thank you so much. I think it was just one hearing, right? Okay, thank you. Okay, on the battery family violence, on each count, that's going to be a $2,000 cash bond only. This is a $4,000 cash bond only. The case is going to be reset to December 5th, 2024. And we're going to reset the two other state court cases on December 5th, which are 23 CR 005. Oh, excuse me, that's a felony case. Sorry. No, that's
You're
a
correct, Your Honor. That's a state court case.
Yeah, 23 CR 005-396J, and the latter case 24 CR 003-385J. With this new case, no further contact with Arisma Velasquez. Any contact with child or children that he shares with Ms. Velasquez must be done through a legitimation action. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and next court date is December 5th. Thank you. Next case, please.
Position 13.
Judge, can we go back to position 13?
Okay. Is that the one at jail court?
Yes.
All right. This is case State versus Jacqueline Holmes, case number 24 CR 0077418. Ms. Jacqueline Holmes is appearing through the device jail court iPhone. I have no clue what she looks like. Appears to be, her head is covered. No, there she is. I'm sorry, Deputy. I think she's got a hand over her face, so.
Ms. Holmes, can you take your hand out so she can see your face?
All right. I'm just going to leave it at that. That's okay. Ms. Holmes, my name is Judge Law, and I'm just trying to address your current case with you. Please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you today is going to be Mr. Michael Geddes. Is that correct, Mr. Geddes?
No, McLean.
Mr. McLean, okay.
Your Honor, once we announce her charges and the arrest record, if any, we should go into breakout because this is one of our MHs.
Okay. Ms. Holmes is accused of willful obstruction of a law enforcement officer and criminal trespass. And
Judge, you got the history, so y'all can just go. I mean, you can skip me. I'm saying.
All right, she's got 11 arrest cycles, and I've got the history with me. All right, Deputy at Jail Court iPhone, please mute the screen, and we'll be with you shortly. We unfortunately have to do this as a breakout. Okay, thank you. Miss Lewis, if you could place Miss Allen, Mr. McLean, and myself in a breakout room, please. We'll be with you all very shortly.
But you just need to turn that down a little bit more. Thanks.
All right, we are back to addressing Jacqueline Holmes, jail court iPhone. If you could please unmute. All right, Miss Holmes. All right. Miss Jacqueline, discussion with your attorney, and after reviewing the case and the incidents, your obstruction, you got $1,000 surety bond, and the criminal trespass, you have $1,000 surety bond. And your next court date is going to be December 5th. Is that a Thursday, Mr. Jordan?
It is.
All right, it's going to be December 5th at 11 a.m. in the next SAP calendar. You're required to stay away from 1631 Stanton Road. No illegal drugs and no alcohol. Did you understand me, Ms. Holmes?
Who is Mr. Jordan?
Mr. Jordan is our litigation manager.
He's a who?
He's our litigation manager.
What is the first name?
Michael. All right. So if you have no questions about your bond, then we will see you on December 5th.
So I can leave right now?
Once you make the bond, yes.
Why do I have to make a bond?
You have a $2,000 bond
For what reason?
for the 2 charges brought against you.
False charges that was brought against me?
Well, if they're false, they'll have to be determined at a hearing in the future. So we'll see you on December 5th.
Okay.
Thank you.
And let me tell her, Ms. Holmes, the social worker is going to see you well before December 5th.
Social worker spoke to her earlier today.
Right. And we're going to speak to her more.
Okay.
Position number 8, Harris.
Thank you. This is Jalen Harris, accused of simple battery and fare evasion from November 21st, 2024, under accusation 24 CR 7760F. Mr. Harris, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Geddes. And this was Mr. Harris. I believe he had his
Second arrest.
Yeah.
He had a 2017 traffic offense. He's homeless.
Understood. Miss Allen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is an incident that happened at the North Springs MARTA station yesterday on the 21st of November at about 2:50 in the afternoon. That's 77010 West Peachtree, Dunwoody Road. The defendant was seen pushing through the fare gate without paying. MARTA employee, station agent named Courtney Cherry was present, saw him do that, asked him to please pay the fine, and tried to interact with him about that, or pay the fare, excuse me. He ignored her and refused to exit the station, and then followed her and began pushing her. This was witnessed by a third party, and police had to intervene. We spoke to Mrs. Cherry today. She confirmed what happened in the warrant, said that the defendant was actually running after her. She'd never seen him before. Prior to this incident, she'd like no contact. We would ask for a $2,000 SOB through pretrial with a social worker visit, stay away from MARTA, and absolutely no contact with Mrs. Cherry.
Mr. Geddes?
Yes, Your Honor. As you heard, unfortunately, Mr. Harris is homeless. He does have significant financial difficulties. He has a very limited criminal history, no prior felonies. We would ask that Your Honor consider instituting a UJR at this point, but otherwise I think we would be fine with what the state is asking for.
Okay. It'll be a $750 bond on the simple battery, a $250 bond on the fare evasion. And that was a signature bond through the jail, Miss Allen?
I guess if he does not have a address, he cannot go through pretrial?
No. Does he have a address where he can receive mail, Mr. Geddes?
My understanding is no, Your Honor.
All right, then it'll be a surety bond, and he'll need to stay away from all MARTA property and have no contact with Courtney Cherry. His next court date will be December 5th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Number 10.
Your Honor, is there anything that I can say? This is Courtney Cherry.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Cherry. I didn't realize you were on the Zoom. You can
Okay.
unmute
Okay.
and start your video if you want to say something. All right.
Yes, ma'am.
Are
Can you hear me?
are you in a room with other people?
No, ma'am.
Did you lower your mask?
Can I lower it? Yes, ma'am. I didn't want him to see my face because I
He has a
had my
right to
mask on
confront, he has a right to
yesterday.
confront his accuser, so you would have to.
Yes, ma'am.
Please raise your right hand. Do you
Yes,
solemnly
ma'am.
swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
This is regarding Mr. Jalen Harris. He's received $1,000 surety bond where he's required to have no contact with you and to stay away from all Marta property. Do you have any comments about these restrictions?
I don't have any comments. I just don't understand the $1,000. Does that mean that if he pays, I apologize for my emotions. If he pays $1,000, that means that he'll be able to get out. Is that what that means?
That's what a bond is, yes.
And he will not be able to come to the station. I'm just emotional because he actually was running after me.
I understand, ma'am, and that's why I said it's $1,000 surety bond.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
if he does make bond, he's required to stay 200 yards away from you and not have any contact with you whatsoever. And he's not allowed to be within 200 yards of any MARTA station. He's not allowed on the parking lots and the sidewalks, at the stations, on any trains and any buses. If
Yes, ma'am.
he violates that, he'll be arrested again, and the next time his bond will probably be higher, and his current bond may be revoked.
Yes, ma'am.
Anything else, Ms. Cherry?
No, ma'am. I thank you
All
so
right.
much.
You be safe. Take care.
Yes, ma'am.
You're free
Thank
to
you.
go.
Thank you.
All right,
Position,
who do we have?
position 10.
Okay, this is Anthony Kiel Hemmings, accused of loitering and prowling from November 21st, 2024, in case number 24 CR 7753F. Mr. Hemmings, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Hemmings has got 3 arrest cycles with an open case for criminal trespass. Is that case been accused, Mr. Howard?
The open case is he got an open case in the cab for trespass. He just got a time served plea on the 7th of this month, an SAP from Judge Mincy. You had him in first appearance for that. You gave him a $500 good bond in first appearance.
What case was that?
Your Honor,
The misdemeanor.
Okay,
What case number is the booking number 2418-493?
I see. Okay. Ms. Jasiano?
Yes, Your Honor, he was arrested twice last month, once in DeKalb, once here. He pled to the criminal trespass here. It's a different location. It was an apartment complex. He pled on SAP on the 7th. He was released, and of course, he's back. This time it was the Georgia Tech campus. He's on security footage walking through the Montgomery Knight building and the Bill Moore Student Success Center building, pulling on door handles, attempting to access various rooms. He's also on camera at the Georgia Tech Hotel and Conference Center parking deck, entering the parking deck and exiting with items that were not on his person when he entered the parking deck. We're requesting $1,000 surety, stay away from all Georgia Tech campus, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Mr. McLean? Did he miss you?
I'm sorry.
Never mind, I'm just being facetious. I thought he missed you, but,
Oh, no, I was at Tech at a different time.
oh, okay. Yes, sir. And what's your recommendation?
Your Honor, my client does have a stable mailing address at a certain street, 3088 Stone Mountain zip code. He has his GED already. We understand what his record is in terms of those arrests and everything. He has worked cleaning malls for Allied Universal Corporation. He has worked for a company doing landscaping. He has been a prep cook at a restaurant. So he is an industrious person. I've got his dad's phone number. He should be able to make court again if Your Honor would give him a bond that he would be able to make, which would be more likely to be a signature bond. I understand $1,000 surety is not bad, but a signature bond would really help him out. And there's a fairly good chance that he'd show back up. Let's give him a chance.
So he's got an open case in the cab, and he had a case with us. He was given a chance with the signature bond, but he decided to come back. So his bond is going to be $2,000. It's going to be a surety bond. And the next court date is going to be December 5th, and to stay away from all Georgia Tech property. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. If he makes bond, please be sure that he returns to the clerk's office and updates us with his current mailing address so that he can receive future summons. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 14, Hopper.
This is State versus Giovanni Hopper, accused of battery, family violence from August 21st, 2024. Case number 24CR 7754F. Mr. Hopper, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. Mr.
Did you say Harper?
Hopper?
Oh, Hopper. Okay. Second
Like
arrest, 20. Yeah, I'm thinking HARPR. Second arrest, 2022, driving without a valid license, no low.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Tessiana?
Your Honor, this incident happened back in August on the 21st. There was actually warrants issued for both the defendant and the victim in this case. As a result of this incident, officers were dispatched to 124 Summerwood Drive in Fairburn regarding a domestic dispute. Upon arrival, they observed the victim in this case, whose name is Tiara Brown Alexander, screaming and running while the defendant was chasing her. The officers tased him, and while he was being seen by medical, they spoke to Miss Alexander, who said that the defendant came over to get some of his belongings. They began arguing. He grabbed her phone and looked through it. He found some things he did not like. There was an argument. She had some photos on there. He threatened to post those online. She tried to get her phone back, and he slammed her foot into the door, causing visible swelling and bleeding. She says that she then ran out, got the defendant's vehicle because he still had her phone, went down the street and saw other people and asked them to call 911. And then she returned his vehicle to the residence, and that's when she states that he started chasing her. The officers then spoke to the defendant, who had a very different version of events. He claimed that the police had been at the residence the day before, and he had left after that. He returned the following day after things had calmed down. He claims that the victim took his cell phone, and there was a dispute over his cell phone. He also says that the victim ran him over. The officers spoke with the defendant's mother, who was apparently on FaceTime or some sort of video chat during this incident, who also said he was run over. However, there was no dents or anything in the car, and he had no visible injuries whatsoever. There was also a third party on scene who witnessed some of the altercation. He refused to provide his name, but he did say that he was the landlord of the location, and he didn't see the entire altercation, but he did see that what he did saw was the victim on top of the defendant beating him up. So based on the conflicting statements and from the third party witnesses on scene, warrants were issued for both parties. However, no one was arrested at the time because both parties said they needed to go to the hospital, and the officers made a decision to let them go to the hospital and then took out warrants later. So we're requesting an SOB through pretrial, no further contact with Miss Alexander, stay away from the incident location, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol, and anger awareness. And if Your Honor can sound for Miss Alexander.
Miss Alexander Brown, I see a Tiara Walker. Is that her by any chance? Or
that's not how the victim's name is spelled in the warrant, Your Honor. It's TAIRAH in this warrant.
Is there a Tiara Alexander Brown on Zoom who would like to be heard? All right, Mr. McLean?
No objection.
All right. On the battery family violence, this is going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services, level 2. No further contact with Tiara Alexander Brown. and he's required to stay 200 yards away from 124 Summerwood Drive in Fairburn, the entire complex or the entire location. To stay 200 yards away from Ms. Alexander Brown as well and not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. Do they share children or anything?
It's my understanding that they don't, Your Honor.
Okay. And Mr. Hopper, if you have any property still with Miss Alexander Brown, you need to hold off on retrieving your property until this case is over. Thank you.
Position for, number 16, Lucas.
Juan Marquis Lucas is accused of hit and run, failure to stop or return to the scene of the accident, and failure to obey a traffic control device from November 2nd, 2024. Mr. Lucas, your case is 24 CR 7756D. You've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. Any priors? First arrest? All right. Desiano?
Yes, Your Honor, there was an accident on November 2nd at the victim, Catherine Woodruff, was in her vehicle. She was turning left from the interstate onto Howell Mill Road when the defendant ran a red light while he was driving a FedEx vehicle and struck the victim's car. He made no attempt to stop and fled the scene. He was identified because the traffic camera did catch the incident, and the police were in contact with FedEx, who did an internal investigation and determined that the defendant was the driver, and he was terminated as a result. Your Honor, the state's requesting $1,000 surety on the hit and run and an SOB on the second count. No driving without a valid license, no weapons, drugs, or alcohol. And if Your Honor can sound for Miss Woodruff.
Catherine Woodruff, if you on Zoom, you can unmute and start your video. No? Okay. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, my client is 29. He has a bachelor's degree from Buffalo State University in New York. He's been in Georgia about a year. He's stable here in Atlanta, however, with a Stockbridge, Georgia address at a certain Gresham Drive. Your Honor, he has worked as a security officer. He did drive for Federal Express for a year, and then they occasionally, when this incident happened, it was they were occasionally calling him in to do some part-time work. He has worked for 2 years as a Rite Aid drugstore manager, Your Honor. While the state's recommendation isn't too bad, if the court were to consider a complete signature bond, it would help him out financially, and it doesn't look like he'd have any problem coming back to court. He's got a lot to lose, so he'd come back.
The hit and run is 1,500. The failure to obey is 1,000. It's a signature bond through pretrial services, level 1. He'd be required to report to pretrial once a month. No illegal drugs, no alcohol. And you can only operate a vehicle if you have a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration. Any future infractions can result in your signature bond being revoked. Thank you.
Number 7, Green.
Do we need a breakout for this, Mr. McLean?
Oh, what's the name?
Green.
Green.
I didn't have Green.
I spoke with Mr. Green.
Are we good? Are we good, Mr. Getty? So do you need a breakout?
I think a breakout may be safer, Your Honor.
All right. This is Adrian Green, case number 24 CR 7752C, accused of criminal trespass causing damage to property on November 10th, 2024. Mr. Green, you've been advised of your rights, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Geddes. With regards to Mr. Green, this is his first arrest, and he's 19 years old. All right, Mr. Jordan, if you could place us, or Ms. Lois, if you can place us in a breakout, please. That would be Ms. Desiano, Mr. Geddes, and myself.
Will you please add me as well?
All right, we are back to address the case with State versus Adrian Green, 24 CR 7752C. Is there a Johnny or Angela Green who are on Zoom? No? Okay. Mr. Green, we have conferred about your case as well as addressing some sensitive information. And the consensus is that your bond is going to be set at 2,500. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services level 1, which means that you will be required to report to pretrial services once a month while you're out on this release order. Conditions to your bond is that your grandparent, Johnny Green, has to co-sign the bond. So prior to your release, Mr. Green has to make sure that he co-signs the bond. Once you are released and you are allowed to live at their property, you are to have no further violent contact with Angela and Johnny Green. If you decide not to live with Angela and Johnny Green, then within 30 days of being released, you must update the court with a current mailing address. These are your following conditions. Within 7 days of being released, you must submit to a qualified MH evaluation and treatment if required. You must be compliant with all medication and treatment that may either come from the MH evaluation or from any ongoing treatment that you're currently undergoing. You are to continue with all school that you are attending. Which school do you go to?
I go to Northview High School.
Northview High School. So you're required to continue to attend school regularly with no absences. And you are subject to also a curfew. Whether you live with your grandparents or whether you live at a new address, you'll be subject to a curfew where you are not allowed to step out of your home after 6 p.m. and until 6 a.m. You're not to consume any illegal drugs, no alcohol. You may be subject to a random screen by pretrial, and you're not allowed to own or possess any firearms, nor are you allowed to live in a home where a firearm exists. This case is going to be reset to November 23rd, that's tomorrow at 2 p.m., in order to get an update with regards to the co-signer and the status of your release, as well as to your housing issue. Did you have any questions about your bond?
Yes, ma'am. So my grandpa has dementia. So how is he going to co-sign my bond if he's like not remembering?
All right. If Ms. Desiano, in that case, if you determine that Mr. Johnny Green is not able to co-sign the bond, if he has any mental deficiencies, then his co-signer will have to be Angela Green.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any other questions?
No, ma'am.
All right, then let's amend the co-signer to Angela Green. And Mr. Adrian Green, if you violate any of the conditions of this bond, or if you get arrested again, you don't report to pretrial or you don't do your evaluation, then the pretrial services is authorized to have your bond surrendered, and you will be arrested again where your bond will remain at 2,500, but next time it will be a surety bond. Do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Next, we have, good afternoon, Your Honor, ACDC with position number 2, Ms. Battle.
This is State versus Barbara Battle, case number 24 CR 7749H, in which Ms. Battle is accused of criminal trespass and possession and use of a drug-related object from November 21st, 2024. Ms. Battle, my name is Judge Law. Please remember that you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. And presently, your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean, Mr. Geddes?
That would be myself, Your Honor.
All right. It's going to be Nick Geddes. With regards to Ms. Battle, this is her 12th arrest cycle. Anything to add, Mr. Howard?
2024 possession of drug-related objects. 2024 trespass conviction. Open terrorist threats trespass out of the cab. 2021 simple battery DV conviction. 2020 disorderly conduct conviction.
Thank you. Ms. Desiano?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident happened yesterday at the Pier gas station at 3015 Jonesboro Road. An officer was driving by, immediately recognized the defendant because he was at the location earlier that day, criminally trespassing the defendant from the location. And as he was driving by, he observed her back at the location. The clerk that worked there asked her to leave multiple times. She became belligerent and violent. She did leave the location initially and, of course, returned. She did try to run from the officer, but only made it a few feet before she ran out of breath. In a search incident to arrest, she was found in possession of a crack pipe. We're requesting a $500 surety bond on each count for a total of $1,000. Stay away. No weapons, drugs, or alcohol.
Mr. Geddes?
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Battle has lived in Georgia for the past 10 years. She has expressed to me that she has multiple family members who are in her corner and supportive of her. My understanding is that she is currently living at an address in Decatur with her mother. She is unfortunately unemployed on disability and food stamps. Her financial situation is very tight based off of her current unemployment. We would just ask that Your Honor consider an SOB bond, given the circumstances.
All right. On the criminal trespass, that's going to be 750. The drug-related objects, 250. Her total bond is 1,000. It is a surety bond. Next court date is going to be December 5th. She's to stay 200 yards away from the Pure gas station at 3015 Jonesboro Road in Atlanta, Georgia. Stay away from the staff and employees of that gas station. And her next court date is, I've already mentioned, December 5th. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. Thank you.
Position number 9.
Mohammed Hassan is accused of harassing communications and misdemeanor charge of stalking from January 30th, 2023. Mr. Hassan, your case number is 24 CR 7761C. You have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Geddes. Any priors, Mr. Howard? I have a first arrest.
First arrest, Judge, that's what I got.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Tessiano?
Yes, Your Honor, I have the same. The victim in this case, Your Honor, is Sylvia Gray. She reported to police numerous times several unwanted contacts by the defendant, who's a man that she does not know and has never really had much interaction with prior to this incident. These contacts stem from January 30th to about September of 2023. She reports today that there's been no contact in the last year, but that's only because she's essentially had to uproot her life, move, switch jobs, change all of her numbers, completely become invisible on the internet. She's gone through a lot to try to escape this person. The first contact started in January. She received a message from an unknown person. She initially thought the message was from an ex-boyfriend, but they spoke over the phone and she quickly realized it's someone that she does not know. The person told her that she was a waitress. She's a waitress at Park Bar on Centennial, in Centennial Olympic Park, or was at the time of these incidents. He told her that she was his waitress one night, and essentially that he they spoke over the phone very briefly. She then falls asleep, wakes up to a series of long, rambling messages from him that say all sorts of things, talking about seeing signs that direct him to contact her and things of that nature. He then contacts her the following month using a Find My iPhone, requesting for her location to be shared with him. She, of course, denied. There's another contact in March where she's at her job at the Park Bar. She was there and obviously concerned for her safety. She had told the coworkers everything that had been going on. The defendant shows up to her place of employment. He's stopped by security, and security asks him to provide his ID, which he does, which is partly how he was identified. And then he was denied entry to the establishment. These contacts continue, another one in June. He actually made a profile of her mother, the victim's mother, and tried to friend request her as if he was the mother. And then very shortly after that, started sending more Find My iPhone requests asking to share her location. In July, things began to escalate initially. On the 6th of July, she was actually approached by him after she was leaving her job at the park bar. This happened in the presence of her manager. She screamed that she was going to call the police. He needs to leave her alone. And from that point, she had to begin being escorted to her vehicle anytime she was at work because it was clear the defendant was following her. About 10 days after that, he then shows up to her mother's house in Decatur. How he figured that out is a mystery. At this point, the parents were obviously aware of what was going on. They showed that they said he was looking through their front door like he was looking for something. The parents initially thought it was an Amazon driver that wasn't familiar with the area, but after as everything unfolded, they kind of put the dots together that this man was the same one that was stalking their daughter. Then the following day, right after this incident of showing up to her parents' house, the victim received another long, rambly message, but this time to her email, with this long story about how he doesn't want to be an average person, he's refusing to settle, and if she wants him to be like that, she should follow in his footsteps and things of that nature. The following day after that, she receives an email from his work email. The victim tried to contact his job about it unsuccessfully. And about an hour after the work email incident, the police show up to her parents' house and someone who wanted to remain anonymous had requested a welfare check. So that all happened in July. And then in August, there's another fake profile and a request. Do you know the defendant? Do you know anything about him? She was concerned it was the defendant. And so she did not respond. And then in September, he showed up to her apartment complex and she saw him in the lobby and ran upstairs and locked herself in her apartment. So this is a textbook stalker type situation, Your Honor, where these people don't know each other, and we don't know how he's getting all of the information to contact her. But we spoke to her today. She said she believes that how he got her name essentially was that her full name was on the receipt that he got when he was a patron at the park bar. She states that she's had no contact with him, of course, because she's literally had to uproot her life to avoid this person, and that she has tried multiple times to file TPOs, and the police were actually in phone contact with the defendant to try to get him to come up to get served, and he refused. And so ultimately, because he was never served, the TPOs never went through. So there's a very serious concern for the victim's safety, Your Honor. And we're asking for a $2,000 surety on each count. We're asking for a mental health evaluation. We're asking that the defendant be required to be equipped with an ankle monitor, because there is a concern that now that he's been arrested for all of these offenses, that he will try again to contact her. We ask absolutely no contact, of course. A stay away. We don't want to disclose the victim's address, of course, because the defendant doesn't know it, is our understanding. But we would request a stay away from her parents' house that he has been to before, which is 3242 Lindmore Drive in Decatur. And I'll put that in the chat for you, Mr. Jordan. And Your Honor, Miss Gray is on the line, Miss Sylvia Gray. You can sound for her at the appropriate time. Thank you.
Ms. Sylvia Gray, if you would like to address the court, you can unmute and start your video. You also have a right to not say anything, and you can remain muted with your video hidden. All right, Mr. Geddes, anything to add?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Hassan is 28 years old. He has lived in Georgia since 2018. My understanding is that he moved to Georgia for a project manager position with an architecture and construction firm. Obviously, we have zero issue with any no contact provision. The only thing I would express a concern about would be the ankle monitor provision. I expect that would cause issues with him reporting to and maintaining his position with that firm that I mentioned. That's the only condition that I would pose any objection to.
Right. All right, on the harassing communications, that's going to be $5,000. On the stalking, that's going to be $5,000. This is going to be a $10,000 signature bond through pretrial services, level 3, with an ankle monitor requirement for the first 6 months. And the monitoring fees shall be paid by Mr. Mohammed Hassan. Mr. Hassan, because this is your first arrest and given the nature, I'm going to allow for a signature bond through pretrial services. You will report to pretrial once a week. You are to stay 500 yards away from Sylvia Gray and 500 yards away from her residence, from her workplace, from her family's home, or wherever she happens to be physically located. You are not to contact her through directly, indirectly, through a third party, through mail, email, texting, phone, or any kind of social media platform. And you're not even allowed to discuss her on social media. Before you are released from the Fulton County Jail, you shall be equipped with the ankle monitor, where you'll be responsible for the ankle monitoring fees per month. Failure to pay your ankle monitoring fees can result in your $10,000 signature bond being revoked upon an affidavit from either the prosecutor or from the ankle monitoring company. Your next court date will be sent to your current mailing address, so you'll be required to update the court with your current mailing address. You're also to undergo a MH evaluation and any treatment that's required, and this evaluation your appointment must be scheduled within the next 15 days upon your release. Any questions about your bond? No? Okay, thank you.
Yes. So I can get out tonight?
You'll be released after you've gone through the pretrial services evaluation, and then you will be equipped with an ankle monitor before you're released. All right, thank you.
Judge Law,
Yes, Mr. Jordan?
the ankle monitor, you said for the first 3 months?
6 months.
6 months, thank you.
6.
Position 15, Ivy.
This is Jaden Ivy, is that correct? Position 15? Am I
Yes.
correct? Case number 24CR 007763A. Mr. Ivy, you've been accused of cruelty to animals and tethering from November 7th, 2024. You've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. McLean. I understand this is Mr. Ivy's first arrest. Yes, Miss Ellen?
Thank you, Your Honor. This is actually an incident from November the 7th. There had been a warrant issued on the 15th and outstanding. Police were called to 2801 Old Farm Road, that area there. They were actually there across the street because of a dog bite. And while on the scene, animal control officers watched the defendant pick his pit bull type canine up by the neck, holding it with both hands around the neck, like strangling it, pick it up in the doorway of the back door of the residence and walk out into the backyard, across the backyard, and drop it down on the ground. The dog was obviously afraid and in pain. He then grabbed the dog by his back legs and dragged it back to where he was after the dog started to run. When animal control officers tried to talk to him about that kind of treatment of the animal, they were told to mind their business. He can do what he wants to. He then went inside after tethering the dog to the ground and leaving it without any food and water. So citations were ordered, Your Honor. Body camera footage from animal control was active during this interaction, and I believe ring camera footage also captured the treatment of this animal. We're asking for a $2,000 surety, Your Honor, that the defendant be ordered to possess no animals and surrender the dog in question. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons. Thank you.
Give me those numbers again, please.
The bond request?
Yes.
$2,000 surety, Your Honor. No possession of animals and surrendering the dog in question. It was removed by animal control. We would just ask that he not go try to claim it.
So it's 1,000 on each count.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Geddes?
I
Sorry,
apologize.
Mr. McLean. I beg pardon. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor. Thank you. Your Honor, my client is 21 years old. He went through the 11th grade at Banneker High School He will be getting his GED in January, he hopes, through his efforts. He has worked as a Checkers. He has worked at another restaurant that begins with the word Annie. And he was a dishwasher there. He would ask the court to consider.
I'm sorry, I lost your audio. Did we lose Mr. McLean?
Yeah, we lost them all together, Judge.
Okay, here's
Here
some.
he come back up. Here he go. Hopefully he's coming.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Mr. McLean, we lost your audio. Were you asking for a signature bond?
Yeah, yes, Your Honor. How far did I get? High school and
You got
did I
into
get the
high
job
school,
history
yep.
in before it cut me off?
Yeah.
Okay. After high school, Your Honor, he's only 21, so he worked as a couple of years as a cook at Checkers. He's worked as a dishwasher at a very nice restaurant. Your Honor, he is local all his life, and he asked the court. He has the address, of course, as we know. We would ask the court to consider a signature bond because of his stability and because it is a first arrest.
Okay, thank you. On each count is going to be $1,500. It's going to be a $3,000 signature bond through pretrial services level 2. He'll need to report to pretrial twice a month. He's not allowed to own, possess, or have any non-human pets at his home. He's not allowed to own any pets. All pets that he has at his home are to be removed by Fulton County Animal Control. And this provision will continue until a final outcome in this case. He will report to pretrial twice a month, and no illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms. And his next court date will be sent to his current mailing address. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we go back to position number 3 now?
All right. Before I move on, what's going on with the other cases that are not addressed? Position 17, Christopher Middleton.
Your Honor, I'm going to waive his presence and argue bond. It's not a long argument, but
Okay. And was there an Angela Morrow?
Your Honor, I spoke today. She has been with us before, and I think she needs to go straight to the incompetency calendar, or we call it the competency calendar.
All right. So you're waiving her presence?
Your Honor, I believe that I don't have her permission verbally to waive it, but Your Honor, I'm pretty sure every time it ends up on the competency calendar, and I've spoken to the people who have participated in previous cases. It would be inefficient to do anything other than take it straight to the competency calendar, but
all right, we'll take it up with your other waiver case because I have some issues without having a written waiver. Let me see.
And Your Honor, she's usually put on the competency calendar, but then she comes off the competency calendar and pleas. So.
Well, I understand, but I still need something in writing. Position 6, Grant, Razimru Grant.
I did have the opportunity to speak with Mr. Grant, Your Honor. Is he not here?
Nope, he should have did not log on.
He should have been in felony this morning.
But he's at Union City, he's not here at the main jail, so we don't have no control of him getting on.
So he's not there today?
No, he's at Union City because of his age. They send the 17-year-old to Union City.
I'm going to reset him to tomorrow unless he appears from Union City today. So this is going to be reset to, he was at Union City. Okay. And then Gene Carter, position 4.
Your Honor, a deputy and I went to her cell, and she is hearing impaired, and we spoke with personnel. We don't believe that there would be anything other than initiating a social worker visit that would make sense. The social worker may be able to access resources to try to communicate. I'm hoping that that can occur. I realize today's a Friday and it's terrible that it's the end of the week, although there
Does
is.
she sign language? Does she use sign language to communicate?
She did. Her head was turned away. She didn't see us, so she didn't hear us. So she never knew we were there.
All right.
But I did note, Your Honor, that there was a great deal of there were several meals that had not been eaten for a while, so she's not eating.
Oh dear.
And she was a mental health reset yesterday.
Okay. I'll address that when I address the positions 17, 18, 21, and 22 as well.
And Your
Judge,
Honor,
All right.
position 7, Mr. Green, when we were in breakout, we did get in touch with his grandmother and she is on the Zoom. If we could go back to that case at some point, thank you.
Certainly, I just noticed Angela Green. Angela Green, we're going to address Adrian Green. If you want to start your video and unmute. Miss Angela Green, I can only see your ceiling. Could you bring your device down? Unmute, please. Unmute your device. We cannot hear you. Will the host please prompt her to unmute?
I did, Judge.
well, Judge, watch.
Can,
Okay.
can you hear me now?
Yes, Miss Green, if you'd like to say something, may I place you under oath?
Oh, yes, go ahead. Right hand.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
I do.
Okay, Adrian Green was given a $10,000 signature bond, which means he can be released without having to pay for his bond, but we will need a adult co-signer. I have currently designated you as the adult co-signer because Adrian indicated that Johnny Green is apparently suffering from dementia. Is that correct?
No, my husband's next to me. He's having a fit. He's become somewhat forgetful. He has not been diagnosed as being demented.
All right. Would you be more comfortable with Johnny Green being the co-signer?
You want to say something, Mr. Green? Go ahead, speak up.
Your Honor, she wants no contact is our understanding and she would like us stay away.
All right. In
Do you
that
see my husband?
Do you see me?
Yes, Mr. Johnny Green, would you be willing to be a co-signer?
Yes.
Would you be willing to have Adrian come home?
No.
Then in that case, Miss Angela Green?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. What is your feeling about contact and him coming back to your house?
I am not comfortable at this moment. He has anger management problems. He's destroyed quite a bit in my house. He does not go to school. He's being seen by psychologists, psychiatrists. He has a drug program that I've tried to enlist him in, and he refuses to go.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
You're free to leave the Zoom then. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Geddes, were you the one representing Adrian?
That's right, Your Honor.
All right, we're going to be revisiting his bond shortly. Let me add his case back on the list to be addressed as well.
Judge, number 6, Grant. He went to felony earlier, got a 5,000 good bond, but they did waive, so he didn't show up in there either. Just so you know.
Union City, they're getting ready to log on.
Okay.
All right, while we're waiting, Angela Green, you may leave the Zoom. May we place courtroom 2, Mr. McLean, Miss Falk, and myself, and whoever else wants to be in the breakout. Miss Lewis?
Are you, I guess Officer Gibson?
I'm Lieutenant Gibson, ma'am.
Lieutenant Gibson, okay, they're in a breakout room right now, but they'll be addressing, once they come back on, I'll let them know that Union City is on, and they'll address the individual there.
Okay, let's see.
They're in a breakout room right now, but they'll be coming out shortly.
Okay.
Yeah, we're still on. They're just in a separate room right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Union City is on, y'all, just letting you know.
Thank you.
Judge, Union City is on the line.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Courtroom 2, is there a chance you can get Adrian Green back?
AJ Green.
All right, Union City?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, Officer Gibson, is that correct?
Yeah, Lieutenant Gilford, yes, sir.
Lieutenant Gibson, yes, sir. Good afternoon. My name is Judge Lal. We are ready to address Razimru Grant. If you can start your video, please.
Let's see what's wrong with this thing.
Or if the host could prompt him.
There it is.
Got you. Thank you so much. All right. All right, we are addressing position 6 on our expedited accusation calendar. This is an initial appearance for a defendant who was recently arrested and charged with a misdemeanor offense. My name is Judge Lal. Mr. Razimru Grant, your case number with the State Court of Fulton County. This is a misdemeanor offense for failure to use proper motorcycle gear from an incident of November 20th, 2024. Your case number is 24 CR 007751C. Mr. Grant, you have a right to remain silent. Anything you say in open court, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you at the present time is Mr. Nick Geddes. I understand that Mr. Grant, this would be his second adult arrest, and he's got a $5,000 surety bond in a felony case that was provided today. Would you agree, Mr. Geddes?
That was my understanding as well, Your Honor.
Right. Ms. Desiano, I've read the warrant. Any objection to a $2,000 signature bond through the jail and no driving unless he has a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration?
No, Your Honor, that's what I was going to ask for. Thank you.
All right, thank you. This is a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. No operating of any vehicle, motorcycle, car, or whatever drives on 4 wheels or 2 wheels on the road, unless you have a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, proper registration, and appropriate gear where required, such as a solid helmet. Your next court date, Mr. Grant, is going to be December 5th. And the only reason I'm setting it because you've got a surety bond in your felony case, so you might still be with us. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
Okay, just to go over some matters. Courtroom 2. By any chance, would you be able to get Adrian Green back?
I think someone going to get him now.
All right. While we're waiting for Adrian Green, and I do apologize, but unfortunately I have to amend his bond. So Tyrese Alford, position number 1, is a $4,000 split bond. Next court date is going to be December 5th. Position 2, Barbara Battle, that's a $1,000 surety bond. Next court date is December 5th. Position 3 is a $22,000 surety bond. Next court date is December 5th. Position 4, Jean Carter, is reset to November 23rd, tomorrow's C calendar, with the request for a sign language interpreter. Position 5, Marquis Dixon, is a $4,000 cash bond only. Reset date is December 5th, along with his 2 other open state court cases. Position 6, Grant, is a $2,000 signature bond through the jail. Reset to December 5th if he's still detained due to the felony bond. Position 7, we are holding on Mr. Green to appear. Position 8, Jalen Harris is a $1,000 surety bond. Reset date is December 5th. Position 9 is a $10,000 signature bond through pretrial services, level 3, with an ankle monitor requirement for the first 6 months. Position 10 is a $2,000 surety bond. Reset date is December 5th. Stay away from all Georgia Tech. Position 11 is, for position 11, it's a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 3. That's a $4,000, excuse me, not 2, $4,000 signature bond through pretrial, level 3, with a co-signer, either Sarah Silver or Edgar Hinojosa.
And per judge.
Yes. And position 12 is going to be a $5,000 signature bond through pretrial level 3 per judge. And a co-signer requirement there as well, either Sarah or Edgar. Position 13, the $2,000 surety bond, reset date is December 5th. Position 14, Hopper, is a 3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. Position 15 is going to be a 3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2, no pets. Position 16, Lucas, is a $2,500 signature bond through pretrial level 1. Position 17, Middleton, is a waiver. And we did address this one. Did we or did we not?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right. So Mr. McLean or let me see, Middleton. This is his 17th arrest cycle. As indicated, he's got a Coweta County hold and a CWAC arrest from 2017. Was that a conviction, Mr. Howard?
No.
Okay. All right. And Miss Ellen or Miss Desiano, what's the recommendation for Mr. Middleton?
Thank you. I was just going to ask you which one we were on.
Christopher Middleton, position 17.
Recommendation is a $2,000 surety, Your Honor. No drugs, alcohol, or weapons, and to stay away from the location. This is the Word of God in Christ Church at 1401 Lakewood Avenue. Police were dispatched there on the 17th of November about 2 unauthorized people on the premises, and the staff there were requesting assistance. Assistant preacher told police that the defendant was on the ground in front of the doorway, belligerent and hostile. He'd entered in through the back fence area and kicked it down. One of his slides that he was wearing was still near the fence, and the other one was on his other foot. They were trying to help him get up off of the ground, and he was detained. One of the preachers there also reported that they had ring camera footage of him banging repeatedly on the doors of the church.
Okay. Mr. McLean?
Your Honor, he is from the Sharpsburg area. His dad lives in the Sharpsburg area that's near Noonan. His son works in the Noonan facility of Lumina 8 on Millard Farmer Boulevard or Parkway or whatever it is, nearly in downtown Noonan. He himself is disabled. It's a mental disability. He worked for a couple of years with a pathway company, and not sure what he was doing. Has something to do with media. He tells me that a seizure was involved, so we would ask the court to consider a signature bond. If I was just hoping to get hold of some relative, but he doesn't remember anybody's phone number. So I'm trying to figure, by Googling things, I'm trying to get hold of his son at Lumina 8 so that they can either make his bond, if it's a surety bond, or that I could tell the court all about how they're going to watch after him.
All right, position 17 on count 1, criminal trespass is a 500 surety, and position 2 is a $1,000 surety. His total is a $1,500 surety to stay away from the World of God in Christ Church, and no illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. In the event that he makes bond, he can only be released to his Coweta hold unless that hold gets resolved between now and December 5th. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, position 18, Angela Morrow is reset to November 23rd, pending a waiver. Position 19, Nash, is a $3,000 surety bond, reset to December 5th. Position 20, Raymond Estrada, is a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial. Position 21, Craig Washington, and 22 are reset to November 23rd for the C calendar. This is a medical reset, continuing medical reset. Going back to position number 7, Adrian Green. Mr. Green, I'd like to still remind you of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is still Mr. McLean. Was that correct?
Mr. Geddes, Your Honor.
Mr. Geddes, excuse me. I read it right eventually.
It's a long day.
All right, no, it's not. Okay. Adrian Green, while after I granted the signature bond, based on the state's information that the Angela and Johnny Green only were happy with no further violent contact. That left the court with the impression that they were in agreement to let you return to their home. However, after we were done with your case, Angela and Johnny Green appeared on Zoom, and they were very emphatic that they did not want you back at their home, that they're very concerned about their safety, and that they would like to have no further contact with you. In light of this concerns by the alleged victims, I'm going to amend your bond to a $1,200 surety bond. You are to have no further contact with Angela and Johnny Green. And within 30 days of being released on this bond, you are to update the court with your new mailing address. Again, you are required to enroll and undertake a MH evaluation within, I'm going to amend that to within 15 days of being released. You are to be compliant with all medication and with all treatment. And whichever address you decide to go to, you'll be still subject to the 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. curfew. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons.
Excuse me, Your Honor. I have nowhere else to go except for my 290 East Smoky Terrace. If I could speak to my grandparents, I mean,
they are not willing to engage with you, and you're not allowed to call them from the jail. If you communicate with them from the jail, the prosecutors monitor all jail calls, and you could end up having your bond revoked.
Okay, excuse me, Your Honor, can I please still have my signature bond? I still need school. I still need everything. I mean, this is my first time being arrested.
I understand, but my concern is your contact with the alleged victims. So I'm going to keep it at a surety bond.
Yeah, no, and Your Honor, I understand. I mean, no contact with them. I mean,
I'll see you on December 5th. Thank you.
Your Honor, what was that bond again?
1,200 surety. All right. Any questions? We are done, courtroom 2. Did you want to go over the calendar?
We're done.
Okay.
Here we go. Come on.
Any questions from Mr. McLean or Mr. Geddes? Ms. Allen or Ms. Desiano? All right, folks. This was a good calendar. Y'all did good. Thank you very much.
Hey, hold on. Give me the bond amount for number 3 again, please, and 14.
3 was $2,000 on each count, so it's a $22,000 straight bond. Reset to December 5th.
And 14.
That's a 3,000 signature bond through pretrial level 2. No contact with Alexander Brown, and stay away from the Summerwood Drive location in Fairburn.
You doing court tomorrow?
No, it's Judge Mincy.
Okay, just making sure. All right.
Thank you.
All right, you folks. You all behave yourselves this weekend. See you next week.
Have a nice weekend, everyone.
Take care. Bye-bye.